Here.
Welcome.
Okay. Hi, thank you. My name is Danielle. So I came to the Dhamma about 7 years ago, when I was in Ecuador and working, managing, and someone came and I was training him, and I was hammering him on something he wasn't doing right. And he just continuously handled everything so gracefully, and I felt very curious, like, what is this human doing? How is he developing? And he told me, I can't come in the morning because I have to sit. And I thought, what is this sitting? Come, you be here, you're needed. And eventually I said, what are you doing? And he told me, well, I practice Vipassana, and I sit in the morning, and I've just come from a 10-day, and this is what I do. And I just, something, maybe you know it too, like a gong rang inside of me, and I know, like, oh, this is for me. And so then within about 6 months, I found myself in Malaysia, sitting my first 10-day with this profoundly developed teacher there who had this metta that was just sitting in front of him, was like, yeah, this experience that I hadn't had before. And I left that first 10-day course knowing everything is here, like this vision of like the Zen garden, sand, kind of this meditation, just peeling layer upon layer of everything that wasn't me. But I knew, I was 24 at the time, and I thought, yes, but I don't have the patience for this, because this is organically going to peel the things, and I have things I want to go after now. So 6 months later, I sat in India again and again, peeled more layers, and it's just been this kind of dance with the Dhamma of sitting courses and peeling. And a year and a half ago, I committed everything and just my whole path and gave up all my other spiritual practices. And it's been the most profound experience thus far, and very cliche, but now I'm like selling all my possessions and like emptying everything and doing the whole thing, and finding myself just in a place that is, I'm so grateful to the Dhamma. Yeah, and developing and committing my life to Shila and practicing 2 hours a day, and just these things that have fundamentally changed the way that I experience life. Not that life has changed, as my teacher says. It's not about when everything is going right, but when everything is going dead wrong. And just feeling the grace of, yeah, the flow of Dhamma. And yeah.
People can make Anjali. We'll save the big sadhu for the end, but just Anjali.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Juanita, for this cushion, the extra one. So over these last years, this community is growing more dear to me all the time, and I've gotten to know so many of you. But in terms of this last year, this actually happened a couple of weeks ago. Ajahn Kovilo, in his Dhamma talk, mentioned an article from Atlantic Magazine about social distancing and the isolation that we're experiencing, and it's definitely on the rise, and different groups are higher than others. And so I brought up the article. It's kind of depressing, and to say the least. So that was Saturday, of course. So the very next day, there's a lot of you have been to Kubota Garden. It's in the south end of Seattle, beautiful park, Japanese garden. And I often go there a couple of times a week, take my dog for a walk. And so I was walking out of the park. We were finished with the walk and coming to the exit. And before me were 6 or 7 people, all from Clear Mountain, walking together. There it was. And that we're doing something different here in this community. It was so touching. Matt, you were there, and it just made my day, week, and I think of what's happening here. It's different. Thank you all for being here. And Ajahns Sadhu.
Gail is foremost in our community in cool slippers, just so people know.
And they match.
And they match.
And the article is I think it's called The Antisocial Century, and maybe the December edition of The Atlantic. So I think.
Hello, everyone. My name is Julie. My heart is pounding out of my chest right now, but I had heard about Buddhism many times in my life and always thought, wow, that's really cool one day when my life isn't so crazy. But when COVID hit, I was living yet another extremely intense chapter in my life, and my husband and I were both involved in startups where our big dream was to save the world. And when all that fell apart, I found myself in the midst of a very deep depression for the second time in my life. But having come out of the first one 35 years prior, I knew I could. And so I worked hard for that. But it was about a year in the making. And during that time, I was listening to Insight Timer to help me go to sleep. And I had some favorite composers, and I came across, there was one I loved, and I came across, he had a recitation of the Dhammapada. And it just resonated so deeply with me. I listened to it probably 100 times, and bought several versions of the book, different translations. I found myself searching for learning more about Buddhism. At the same time in my life, I ended up taking a job in a service industry for the first time ever, hence the clothing. Big shout out for my employer. But it's been really, I had to try many different forms of Buddhism and communities of Buddhism, and I just want to say that I knew deep in my heart that this was absolutely changing my life, and I was scouring through books and videos and different sanghas and different teachings, and well, I finally found home. And so I think Ajahn Nisabo wanted me to mention that I managed to change my work schedule so I could be here in person on Saturdays too, but I also do Sunday nights and Wednesday nights. And thank you all, and the morning meditations lately as well. So just wanted to say thanks to all of you, just the warmth that I feel in this community. And the last note was simply that I wanted to say that it's so touching to me, the level of commitment and dedication that I feel from everyone here, and also just everything you offer us is just incredible. I mean, so much. So I'm not much of a weeper, but here I am. Thank you.
On Zoom, Aurelian.
Hello?
Hey, Aurelian, we can hear you. What time is it over in England?
Perfect. It is 6:38.
All right. Please.
Okay. S- So, journey to the Dhamma was quite, I don't know, interesting. I don't know. When I first went to university, post was in a new city, found myself flung into a world that I was not prepared for, very lonely and isolated from my family and my friends. And that resulted in me getting into some undesirable situations and a relationship. And after 2 years of that, I had reached a breaking point, and I got to a point where I just wanted to close my eyes on them again. And I had a lot of determination to not entertain it because I knew it wasn't productive / healthy / mentally conducive. So I started to research meditation techniques. And luckily, I live in an age where everything's at the tip of my fingertips. I can just things, and I was already familiar with some psychiatrists on YouTube who were into Buddhism. And from that, I joined some Discords. And from that, there was an Ajahn linked. And then from that, I was attending these calls. And the real benefit for me that the Dharma gives me is in these uncertain times where what I'm really working for is the right thing because of, the advancements in technology, practice the Dharma and not worry about any of that stuff. I can just give myself the certainty of the wisdom and contentment. And no matter who's in the White House or what's happening in the European Union or whatever, relax. It's been incredibly beneficial and powerful for me and stabilizing my life. So thank you guys.
Sadhu, Aurelian.
Yeah, just in terms of Dhamma psychologists, this Wednesday we'll be interviewing Rick Hansen. He's the author of The Buddha's Brain and Neurodharma, and one of the really early authors, and he's a deep thinker in the realms of where Dharma and psychology overlap. So, 6 o'clock on Wednesday. And we still have time for others. Community. Yeah, please.
Yes. We're embarrassing people just enough. Okay, good.
Amitofo. So honored to be here. In the Dharma Realm Buddhist Association lineage, our Dharma teacher, our Dharma master, Dharma master Shenhua always told us that you have to go up to go give Dharma talks to get good at Dharma talks. So he would make all of his disciples, lay people and monastics, cycle through. And so you have to go talk in order to get better at it. So I figured I would come up here and just do a little sharing. I don't think we ever lose the Dharma. I don't think it's something that we even find in the ultimate sense. I think it's always with us throughout all time. It's just something that we've forgotten. And I think the question that's being asked is about the remembering in our lives, something that brought us to a remembering of who we are, why we're here, what we're really seeking. I think it's so amazing that we all have a collective karma that brought us here together, a remembering of the most beautiful thing in life, and the only thing that really matters. I don't know about the exact moment when I remembered that there's a way, that I've lost my way, but that there is a way, a great way, and I believe we're all on it. But I think I had a suspicion for a long time when I was younger that something wasn't really working, something's not quite right in our society and in the way the world is running. And so seeking, like all of you, the seeker, seeking some sort of truth and freedom from suffering. At some point I had this like overwhelming experience where it felt like the mind that we typically use is just an illusion. It felt as if my mind was disappearing completely. But then there was an affliction, if you can believe it. An affliction of fear, and a sense of I was afraid of dying, losing myself. But it was the most beautiful thing I've ever experienced in my life. But it's not a thing, and it's everywhere in all moments. Beautiful, pure light. A light throughout our bodies, throughout each other, in all spaces, all time. You can feel it. I just could feel it everywhere. I met a monk, and the monk helped me ground. My teacher, Dharma Master Hung Shou, one of the first 6 disciples of Master Hua in what's on Turtle Island. And he helped me ground through Buddhism to understand emptiness in the context of a Buddhist path and the transformation of the afflictions, 4 Brahmaviharas, 6 perfections, 8-fold path, 4 noble truths, and so forth. The path of both virtue, cultivating virtue, the 8-fold path, and cultivating your sitting meditation practice and understanding emptiness, and having both. So that's roughly what happened. Just got a glimpse of how reality is, and had to contextualize that in Buddhism. So yeah, thank you.
Ajahn Povilo and I first met Indriani on our way. We were walking Tudong from San Francisco to Bayagiri, and we met her at Dharma Realm Buddhist University after camping in a grove of poison oak together. Thank you, Indriani. Samek or Trenton? Maybe Samek? Sure. Yeah. And then Trenton, would you like to come up, or was it someone on Zoom that you were raising your hand for? I'd like it if you came up after this. Yeah. Samek, then Trenton.
Hello.
Hi.
My name is Samek. I've been coming here for a few years. I like the saying, like, it is a recognition. Like, when I found the Dhamma, when I recognized something, I think I was like 18 at the time. I was pretty depressed during COVID, and I didn't want to live anymore. I stumbled upon this book called Love Yourself Like Your Life Depends on It by Camille Ravikant. And that question, it was like a question that struck me, which was like, what does it mean to love myself like my life depends on it? And it was a question without an answer. It was a question like with no answer, but it gave me a path. Just like sitting in, what does it mean to love myself? What does it mean to love myself now? And during the time, I journaled a lot about that idea. It was a very intellectual debate in trying to understand that, and just doing that, just asking myself that question over and over again, made my life a lot better. And then when I was 21, I had a trip to Nepal, and during those 2 weeks, I was completely sick. Couldn't do anything, and I was being taken care of by my family, by community there, by my 4-year-old nephew. It was like a community of like a loving presence, and I hadn't had that before. And I felt like in my body love, and I was like, wait, this is different. And this is completely different. And after that, I looked for a community here, found Clear Mountain when I was around 21. I've been meditating since I was 18 as well, sitting in the question, and it's like changed a lot. And I still don't have an answer that's satisfactory, and at the same time, like, the path it's given me has been beautiful, so it's been quite enjoyable to just be here now.
Trenton? Someone once called Samek a vampire for truth. If you recommend a book to him, he might read it within about 2 days. And it's
Hi, my name is Trenton. I've been up here before, but just wanted to come up here again and tell more about myself. Yeah, so before Clear Mountain, I don't really think I had very much that I was living for. You know, like I had like a upper middle class life, you know, parents who were very generous and devoted, and really did a lot to take care of me and my brother, you know, but, you know, with the mind and dukkha and things like that, you know, it's like I was like addicted to the internet, had an eating disorder since I was 15. I've been treated for anorexia 4 times. And yeah, I've wanted to kill myself. And Buddhism was something I found in high school and thought it'd be a nice way for me to not be mentally ill anymore. But I didn't have sila. I didn't, as I've said before, I don't think I really had faith I could do it. Sensuality and bad habits and really looking at and really kind of just using ways to try to alleviate suffering that aren't very nourishing to the heart. And, you know, when I found Clear Mountain, things were still pretty hard. I was making efforts, but I had really bad scrupulosity. If people don't know what that is, it's like a type of anxiety about like morality. But I kept showing up. I'd like be afraid of like, oh, like what if this person doesn't like me, like low self-esteem and freaking out. Like I've cried at Clear Mountain events like several times. Crying can feel pretty good. I think that thanks to Clear Mountain and practicing generosity, virtue, and meditation, it's something that can work. Ajahn Jeff kind of asks, like, when are you going to give the Buddha the benefit of the doubt? At least I heard something like that in a Dhamma talk from him once, but it's like, if we have right view and we have right resolve, goodwill, renunciation, and harmlessness, if we really believe the Buddha, this path will work. And I have a lot of work to do still, but I just want to say that I recently wrote on a piece of paper to put on my personal altar something like, I have been uplifted and sustained thanks to the generosity of other people. Because it's really important to have people who have more virtue than you, more conviction than you, people who are kind to you, who you associate with is really important. And when you have people who can lift you up and people who act in line with kindness and compassion, it can really change somebody. So yeah, I know I can be like, it's like, that's kind of just a little bit more about me. And I just want to say thank you to these Ajahns. I'm really indebted to both of you for all of the good Dhamma stuff that's been in my life. You've helped me and you've also helped others. So thank you.
I don't think we'll have a more powerful note to end on than that. So maybe we can all just do 3 big Clear Mountain sadhus for all those who shared. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. It sounds weird when it comes over Zoom. And we can't explicitly recommend hugs, although maybe we can, but I think you're welcome to hug some people after this if you feel so inclined. Ajahn approved. We really, we're never sure what will come out of these community story sessions, but I always find I come away really moved. And I think they're an important part of this community's growth is having people get a chance to raise their voices and speak about what's happening. And it always feels sacred to me, honestly. So thank you those who felt they could share and did so. Ajahn.